Hi, I'm Richard Niles for the Pro Mix Academy. In our new series of masterclasses, I'll be talking to some massively talented people about how they do that voodoo that they do so well. It's a rare opportunity to understand how creativity works, to learn from the masters about their methods, their triumphs, and their mistakes. And we begin with Leo Sayer, a truly artistic artist who sold many millions of records and has toured the world constantly for over 50 years. He's won a Grammy, 3 Brit Awards, and a BAFTA Gold Badge. He's had many international top 10 singles and at least 7 certified gold and platinum records in the US and the UK. Well, I'm still Richard Niles, and I'm so happy to present a masterclass with Leo Sayer. Just for you, here's a sneak peek at a masterclass with Leo Sayer.
We should explain to listeners that Richard and I's history goes back to the BBC in the early 80s.
1978 was the show.
Oh my God, it was 1978. Okay. And so Richard is an arranger living in London, string arranger, and music arranger, and many things to do with music. He's commissioned by the BBC to come to a show that I'm doing, a series, I think it was,
yes,
and be the conductor and musical arranger for all of the recording that we're going to make of the songs that I'm going to be singing. So we're in the studio together, recording studio, and we're also on set together. And it's a lot of stuff live, a lot of stuff pre-recorded. But we just hit it off, didn't we? We're 2 loonies.
It was totally fun. It was just a fun show. But you had a gig to do, and that was when we first met in the car going to the gig. And I tell the story that when we got to the gig, the promoter hadn't done his job, and there were only 100 people in the audience, and they were going to tell everybody to go home, give them their money back, and you stopped them. And you said, hey, wait a minute, they came to see a show. I'm going to give them a show. And you did this incredible show. Well, I mean, that really showed me something special about you as a person, that you wanted to really give these people a special experience, because it wasn't their fault that the gig was badly promoted. But moreover, when we did the TV show, I was really struck by how you behaved as the star of the show with all the musicians, with all the crew, and with all the guest stars who did come on the show. I remember Kate Bush famously came on the show, but you made everybody feel really comfortable. And it wasn't like, oh, he's the star and we're just little mini. You had a great time. Everybody was having fun on that show.
I always believe that, you've got to kind of, when you leave a building, and you've done a show or something, you've got to thank the security guards and the ushers and everybody, because maybe it's an old gangster thing, but you might be walking down a back alley sometime. That guy was incredibly rude to him, rude to me. So I don't know. You never know who you're going to meet in life, but I do believe that when there's a concert or when there's a TV show like we were doing,
sure,
every single person in that building who is employed or professional in putting that is as important as the star, because it's a collective. I love working with a band live, and it's me and 4 guys, but I'm not, and okay, they've come to see Leo Sayer, but I'm subservient to those guys in some ways, because the interplay of, and we don't use effects, and we don't use sequences, and we don't use any tricks. We don't have any dancers. We're not Taylor Swift. We just kind of go on 5 people on stage, and we rearrange all the songs as well, sometimes as we're doing them, and we're bouncing off each other. It's an interplay. Yes. It's a conversation. It's a discourse, and it's a moment in time. I hope that every gig that I do is different from the next. There are people that come to the show, and I want them to have an experience that is unique. And I do get lovely messages back on social media. So, oh, I saw you in Boston. It was the most amazing show I ever saw, and you were incredible that night. And do you do that every night? And I say, well, yes, that's what I do. That's my job, and I love my job. So you try and give as much as possible. I mean, now we don't have a support act. I do the whole show, because how the hell do you fit in enough songs to please everybody?
No.
So we interval, and it's about a 3-hour show now.
Wow.
And love doing it. Back on the road in September in England, actually.
Let's talk a little bit about touring, because, man, I mean, 50 plus years of touring. Is that what would that be about right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm writing the autobiography at the moment, and also it's going to be a spoken word book. And I got to about 1981, I think, and I actually figured that I'd done 1,000 shows by that time.
A lot of the artists who I've worked with and a lot of the people who are touring, they have a very interesting set of rules for touring. In other words, there's certain things that they take with them. There's certain things that they have in their riders. I'd love to know what your system is for touring and staying healthy and being able to do it for 50 years.
Well, the most important thing is a great rapport with the people that you're working with. And I'm very, very lucky that I've managed to hold on to a lot of the people that I've been working with now. It's been a long, long time. So we've built relationships. I basically split my touring like the equator. Okay. So north of the equator, the English band get that, and the English management and the English crew. South of the equator, the Australians get that. So I've got an Australian band and an English band, and Australian management and an English management. And so, you know, if I'm playing China, for instance, that goes to or Sri Lanka, that goes to the Australian band. If I'm playing in Miami or in Germany or in England or in Scandinavia or even in Africa, you know, if it's above the equator, that goes to the English band. So, and I've managed to keep a very good alumni group of musicians that are very loyal to me. They all do other things. If we give them the notice enough ahead, they're all there, the same band every time. So I'm very, very lucky. That's the first element.
Okay.
Is the relationship you have with them.
Sure.
So you bring that to the theater. You're all mates. You travel together. Sometimes you don't travel together. Sometimes, like an English tour, I'm traveling with my manager, tour manager, Jan Riley, wonderful lady who I've been with for years. And the two of us drive up my car. The rest of the boys are on a bus or a van or something, you know. And so we all arrive at sound check, and that's the most important thing of that. Now, there's the element of looking after the voice.
Yes.
So I drink a ginger tea. It's basically stem ginger, cooked for 20 minutes, and then in a pan we bring a heater around with us, you know,
Nice.
a hot plate, and we make it, put it into a flask, and I drink that during the gig. It's got a bit of lemons in it and honey, and that basically is an anti-inflammatory. So it opens up the voice. So drinking that, as soon as you get, you know, when you're singing a lot, you get a bit sort of choked up, or the nodules and the throat kind of tends to close up. You know, I don't want to sing, but this opens it up and gives you a second chance. So I'm drinking that during the show,
Right.
and refreshing my voice. So
You mean during the actual show or before the show? You're drinking on a stage?
before, and usually during the day as well, you know. So I go into a regime of drinking that. That's an important thing. The other most important thing is sleep. Oh my God, I'll be sleeping in the car, or I'll be, you know, I've got to have as much sleep as possible, and that refreshes the batteries.
Yeah.
And then, you know, boy, taking the stage suits around with you, or whatever costume you're wearing. I think it's just going to be jeans and t-shirts. I'm going back to that this time. So basically, you're bringing that around with you and keeping that going. Visiting dry cleaners everywhere you go. These are the most important things, the base elements. And then you want to make sure, of course, that the rider is mostly, I play really nice theatres. So you've got good dressing rooms, good facilities, a chance to have a nap before the show, nice places to greet friends who are coming and visitors, you know. We basically have a very nice setup. I mean, if you're playing a lot of the same places, when you're playing festivals or you know, open air shows with a lot of other artists, you know, you have to kind of like make sure that that's when the crew behind you, the managers and the agents and the promoters that you're going to be working with, have to have all the detail down really well, because you've got to be very well looked after and able to do your show. So that you need a quiet dressing room. You need drinks to be supplied. and food to be supplied to everybody doing the gig. That's what we call the rider.
Right.
So basically in the rider, there's a lot of things. Then, of course, there's equipment. If we're playing, say, a festival or a one-off show, we're not carrying our own gear. So we have a very detailed specification about which exact Fender twin reverb or Fender Deluxe amp is good for the guitarist. Also spare guitars and things like that can be brought. Because when you tour in Australia, for instance, the distances between the cities are huge. I mean, we live close to Sydney. Playing in Melbourne is a 2.5-hour flight, so basically we've got to arrange a lot of things that we're in. So we'll pick up a van from the rental place, and we'll bring our essentials with us, but a lot of the keyboards and all of this stuff is supplied.
Right.
We have a very good guy we work with here in Australia who actually supplies most of the all of the lights and sound and everything as well, Andy, and he's a valuable asset, and I take him in my crew, and he's already prearranged all of that stuff for us. We often use his systems as well. So basically, you've got to get all these areas covered so that it becomes a comfortable experience. I mean, a microphone, I use a DPA capsule fitted to a Shure radio microphone. I found that the DPA is a wonderful mic capsule that really suits the highness of my voice. It's a capsule that would suit a female singer. I think Lisa with the Stones uses exactly the same setup. This is a mic that will make you sound like you.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. And my sound guy loves it. And so I use that. So I play harmonica through a little bullet microphone, and I play it now into a dedicated pedal. I believe I've got one that's like it here. This is a simple version, but I've got a lovely guy.
Hold it right up close. Well, over here, that, and up. Good. Yeah. Oh, nice. MASTERCLASS.
A slightly bigger one than this, and it's Sayer's signature pedal. The other one I've got, I don't know if I've got one. Oh no, I don't have one handy, but we've called it the Thunder in My Heart.
Nice.
And this lovely guy Andrew from Melbourne, MASTERCLASS, his company, he makes these pedals for me. So now the microphone that I'm playing into for the harmonica, to get that Chicago Little Walter kind of Chicago blues sound, it goes straight into the pedal, which is at my feet. It's got a silent mute button, and I just turn it on. I set it all up before. Turn it on. Pick up the harmonica mic. Put the harmonica in, and instantly it's a wonderful blues sound. We use that for When I Need You now.
When I need you, I just close my eyes and I'm with you. All that I so wanna give you, it's only a heartbeat away. When I need love, I hold out my hands and I touch love. Never knew there was so much love, oh, keeping me warm night and day. Yeah.
So all of these are the tools. I take about 20 harmonicas in a box with me, because I play in a lot of the different.
Yes, of course. You play cross harp.
Yeah, I play cross harp mostly. Yeah. There's a couple where there's one song, I Can't Stop Loving You, and you know that song.
Yes, very well.
Slowed that right down. Ba, ba, ba. We almost play it like an Irish lament.
Nice.
And I play that straight harp. So, and in the key of A, which is beautifully low. So, it becomes a very romantic sound, almost saxophone-ish.
Sometimes you write a song that's of its time, and because of that, it gets attention and people really get it, because I think Moonlighting is a brilliant story song. It's a beautiful story song, and you do a lot of those, and you do them really well. But that particular song it was very much sort of in the news. People were doing that.
He sees her at the same time every night at the Mexican discotheque. gives him French kisses. He gives her French cigarettes. They sit at the same table every time. The lights are low, but their eyes shine, just digging the music from those sweet soul bands. She keeps him out of fights, holds on to his hands. He whispers slowly, tonight's the night. Months of planning, so it's gotta be right. Under the table, her bag is bursting at the seams. She made sure to bring everything. Moonlighting, they're leaving everything. Moonlighting, they're leaving all their friends. Moonlighting, it's the only way. It's frightening, but it means they'll stay together. They're gonna make it together. Oh, oh, oh. All right, sounding good.
Well, it came from a van driver in a band called the Mustang Stampede in the 60s. Dave, the van driver of the band, was having an affair with the daughter of the chief of police in Worthing. And there's no way that the chief of police, her father, would sanctify a marriage with a van driver, a roadie from a band. So basically, they planned to run away and get married. And there was a place called Greta Green, just over the Scottish border, England-Scotland border, as you go up towards Carlisle. Just before Carlisle, you go off to the left, and there was this place that, for some reason, had a lawyer, a solicitor called a procurator fiscal.
Excuse
that was,
me.
yeah, what a name, eh? And he was basically the judge, as it were, of the town, and he could serve weddings, make them legal, be the practitioner of the wedding, without witnesses having to be there. And the song describes the whole thing. I mean, it was a memory for me of this amazing night when we were all sitting around in this discotheque restaurant called the Mexican Hat, the Mexican discotheque in the song. And we're all sitting around, and they had big bags with them, big rubbish bags, as it were, garbage bags, stuffed with stuff. And we're going, and they said, oh no, we're just going off to do some dry cleaning. The two of them are sitting in the corner with all this. He was smoking his Gauloise cigarettes. That's all in the song as well. And so you're setting up the whole thing, and it was all from my memory and written about 20 years later almost, but it was this situation where they repainted the post office van that he used to drive everybody around in. It repainted that night. We saw a van outside, but that can't be his because it's blue, So and we're all at this meeting, and it's band meeting, and talking about bullshit and drinking too much ale, and that night they stole off, basically took the van up. The brand new M6 motorway had just been completed. Now it didn't have the lines on it yet, or the right sort of lights on it or anything, but they drove right through the bollards and took that road all the way up. They were the first people to drive on the M6. And they wondered why they saw nobody on the way, of course, because it was kind of basically drove around a few further bollards and a bit of roadworks, and people probably shouting at them. But on they went on this magical journey overnight, leaving at sort of they must have got on the road at about 11 o'clock at night after our get together. And when they got there, they're very close to it. The song ends up saying, we're only 10 miles to Gretna, they're 300 behind, which is the mileage back to Worthing. And actually, they got stopped about 5 miles into by the local police, the Carlisle police, who grabbed them and said, basically, we've got orders from the Worthing police chief to stop this wedding, and you will come back and we will take her into custody.
But was it illegal that they were getting married? I mean, actually against the law?
He would do anything. He guessed what they were doing. He guessed they were going to, Gretna Green was a big thing. Lots of runaway people, like you said, it was a big thing of the time, but they would run away and get married there and then come back with the awful newspaper. But I've married Trudy. No! They stopped them doing it, And I tell the story on stage that I had to leave the song ending off on an optimistic note.
Yes.
So I twisted the truth at that moment, and I apologize it on a lot for it on a lot of the concerts. I do this spiel before,
Yes.
and say, look, it's not really, ignore the last part of the song. They're 300 behind. No, they're not. The wedding was broken up.